Is your home always a bit chaotic no matter how much time you spend cleaning? Do you feel exhausted after tidying up only to see clutter return the next day? I know that struggle all too well. Balancing a busy life and keeping a space neat can feel impossible. It's frustrating when cleaning feels like a never-ending chore that takes too much time and energy without giving real results. In reality, our homes are often crowded with things we don't use daily, and without smart habits, clutter quickly piles up. That's why this video is here to help. I'll be sharing practical, easy-to-apply tips for decluttering, organizing, and keeping your home clean and inviting. These aren't just ideas, they're habits I've personally practiced and tested, and they've transformed my living space. My home now feels lighter, more peaceful, and I've even saved time and reduced stress while maintaining a sense of order. If you're ready to make cleaning easier, more effective, and even enjoyable, keep watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you won't miss more useful decluttering and home organization tips. Trust me, you'll want to see every trick I've learned for creating a home that's tidy, calm, and truly welcoming. One of the simplest habits that has truly transformed my daily life is the 5-minute morning cleaning routine. Every morning I dedicate just 5 minutes to tidying up my space. Sometimes I fold my blanket, wipe the table, or organize my study corner. At first, I underestimated how much a few minutes could matter. But over time, I realized that starting the day with a clean, orderly environment sets a positive tone for the entire day. It's amazing how a small effort in the morning can influence your mindset. You feel calmer, more focused, and naturally inclined to maintain that order as the day goes on. I like to think of it as the starting state effect. If your room looks neat first thing, you want to keep it that way. I also learned that starting small is key. 5 minutes might seem too little, but it's perfectly manageable even on busy mornings. In fact, this tiny commitment makes it much easier to stick with it consistently. I've seen so many people try to tackle long cleaning sessions for an hour or two in the morning only to burn out and give up. By beginning with a short, realistic routine, you actually build a habit that lasts. After a few weeks, I naturally increased my routine to 10 or 15 minutes, but even on days I don't have time for more. Those first 5 minutes are enough to create a sense of order. The beauty of this routine is that it doesn't require doing everything at once. Each day I pick one simple fixed task. Some mornings I wipe the mirror, other days I fold the clothes or take out the trash. These small, repeated actions accumulate over time, making my room feel consistently fresh and welcoming. It's not about perfection, it's about creating a rhythm, a gentle flow that turns cleaning into a natural, almost meditative part of life. This little habit has changed how I feel at home. I wake up, see a tidy space, and feel a quiet satisfaction that carries through the day. It's a reminder that maintaining order doesn't have to be overwhelming. A few mindful minutes each morning can make a big difference. And if you think 5 minutes is all it takes, wait until tomorrow's video. I'll be sharing how I tackle the hidden clutter you often overlook and reorganize my space for maximum ease and efficiency. Don't miss it. It's packed with practical tips you'll definitely want to try. Once you've experienced how a simple morning routine sets the tone for your day, the next step is to think about the surfaces around you. Let's talk about a simple trick that instantly makes your space feel lighter, calmer, and easier to maintain. One of my favorite organizing tips that has truly changed how my home feels is what I like to call the 70% rule. It's simple but powerful. Try to keep at least 70% of any flat surface, whether it's your desk shelves or even the floor, completely clear. I used to think that the more things I displayed, the cozier my room would feel. But in reality, cluttered surfaces made my space stressful and harder to clean. Once I started leaving most surfaces empty, I noticed an immediate difference. My room suddenly felt lighter, more spacious, and surprisingly calming. Keeping 70% of the surface clear doesn't mean your room has to feel bare or impersonal. I usually leave just a few meaningful items like a small plant, a framed photo, or a favorite decoration. Those little touches bring personality to the space without overwhelming it. I also realized that when the surfaces are mostly empty, I naturally avoid piling up random things like papers, keys, or mugs. It's almost like an invisible guideline that keeps me mindful of what I place down, which makes maintaining cleanliness effortless. This rule has made cleaning so much easier. Wiping down a mostly empty desk or shelf takes seconds instead of minutes. And because the surfaces aren't crowded, I no longer feel frustrated or anxious when I clean. I even started applying the 70% rule to other parts of my home like kitchen counters and the coffee table. The effect is magical. A room with mostly open space just feels more inviting, and it creates a kind of breathing room for both the mind and body. For anyone who feels overwhelmed by clutter, I really recommend trying this simple habit. Start small. Choose one surface and clear it until about 70% is empty. You'll be amazed at how quickly your room feels more peaceful, organized, and easy to maintain. Clearing surfaces is just part of the story. What about the spaces where we store things? I've discovered a small rule that keeps drawers, shelves, and boxes neat, while giving room for new items without creating clutter. The 30% rule. It's a simple principle but makes a huge difference whenever you organize your drawers, shelves, or storage boxes. Don't fill them completely. Leave about 30% of the space empty as a breathing room for new items that might come into your life. I used to cram everything into every corner thinking I was maximizing space. But the truth is, when there's no room left, even small new items end up placed temporarily on tables, counters, or chairs. And that's how clutter slowly takes over a room. Leaving 30% empty creates a sense of flexibility and makes your storage feel manageable instead of overwhelming. It also prevents stress when you bring home a new book, kitchen tool, or piece of clothing. Instead of desperately finding somewhere to squeeze it in, you have a ready spot that keeps everything orderly. I love this rule because it also gives a visual sense of calm. Drawers and shelves don't look packed or chaotic, and opening them feels satisfying rather than stressful. Applying the 30% rule has changed my daily routine too. I'm less likely to pile things in random places just for now, and cleaning becomes a smoother process. I also find that when there's space left, I'm more intentional about what I actually keep. It's a subtle reminder to ask myself, do I really need this, rather than letting items accumulate mindlessly? Over time, this small habit has made a big impact. My home feels more spacious, organized, and peaceful, and it's easier to maintain these habits consistently. If you want to start somewhere simple but effective, pick one drawer, one shelf, or one storage box and leave 30% empty. You'll be amazed at how quickly your space feels calmer, more organized, and ready for whatever comes next. Storage is one thing, but what about the way we actually place our belongings every day? There's a simple principle that can prevent chaos before it even starts, and it's something we all tend to overlook. It sounds basic, but it's amazing how often we overlook this principle. When items don't have a designated place, they tend to get lost, misplaced, or piled up in random corners. I used to leave small things like keys, notebooks, or kitchen utensils lying around thinking I'd put them away later. But later often never came, and soon my space felt chaotic. The key is to organize based on how often you use things. Items you use every day should be placed where they are easy to see and grab, like your go-to outfit at the front of your closet, or frequently used dishes on a low shelf in the kitchen. Things you only use occasionally can go a little higher, like on top shelves or in a cabinet. And items you rarely need can be tucked away in drawers or boxes at the bottom, out of sight, but still accessible when necessary. This method keeps your most important items at your fingertips while keeping clutter out of the way. One insight I've learned through experience is that most of the mess in our homes doesn't happen when we take items out. It happens when we don't put them back. If returning an item to its place feels like a hassle, we avoid it and the clutter accumulates. That's why making the return process as easy as possible is so important. I use small bins, baskets, or labeled drawers to simplify putting things away. When it's effortless to return items to their proper spot, tidying up no longer feels like a chore. It becomes a natural part of daily life. By giving every object a home, you create a rhythm in your home that reduces stress and makes daily cleaning much smoother. I've found that when each item has its place, my space feels lighter, my mind feels calmer, and I actually enjoy the process of keeping my home beautiful. It's a small habit that makes a big difference, one item at a time. Speaking of giving every item a home, small spaces can feel tricky, but I've learned that even in a compact apartment, clever organization tricks make tidying easy and keep everything in its place. Even in small spaces, it's entirely possible to keep your home tidy if you create a dedicated home for every item. I used to struggle with clutter in my tiny apartment, feeling frustrated every time I couldn't find something I needed. Over time, I realized that the solution wasn't buying bigger furniture or more shelves. It was about using the space I had smarter. One simple strategy is to divide your space using small containers. Plastic boxes, shoe boxes, wicker baskets, or even jars can separate different types of items like cosmetics, chargers, or stationery. When everything has its own compartment, it's easier to find what you need and even easier to put it back in the right spot. I love this trick because it makes tidying up almost effortless. Another tip is to make use of overlooked spaces. Under the bed, under the table, or even the space behind a door can become storage gems. For example, I installed a shallow tray under my bed to store seasonal items like scarves and extra linens. Suddenly, what felt like wasted space became incredibly useful. It's amazing how a few hidden spots can make a room feel much more spacious. Finally, don't forget about vertical space. Hanging items or attaching them to walls with hooks, magnetic strips, or wall shelves can save a lot of room. My cleaning tools, knives, and small kitchen utensils are all stored this way so they're easy to reach and return without taking up precious counter space. Creating homes for your things not only helps your home look organized, but also reduces stress. You'll spend less time searching, more time enjoying your space, and even small rooms feel airy and welcoming. The key is consistency. When every item has a designated place, returning it becomes second nature, and clutter simply doesn't accumulate. Before you even start organizing, though, there's a foundational step that makes everything else so much easier. It's a method from Japan that has completely transformed how I approach my home. Before you start organizing your home, the very first step is to get rid of anything you don't truly need. I remember feeling overwhelmed by the sheer amount of things in my room: clothes piled up, old notebooks stacked in corners, random trinkets I hadn't touched in months. That's when I discovered a practical approach from Japan called Seiri-Seiton. Seiri means decluttering, removing unnecessary items, while Seiton focuses on arranging what remains in a neat, accessible way. Together, they form a simple but powerful system. Clear, first, organize, second. To make it practical, I sort everything into 4 groups. First, daily use items like clothes I wear regularly or personal essentials I reach for every day. Second, periodic use items, seasonal clothes, travel gear, or holiday decorations. Third, things I had forgotten I even owned, such as old books or keepsakes tucked away in drawers. Fourth, broken or unusable items that I know I won't ever need again. Handling each group becomes straightforward. Group 4. Recycle or throw it away, it's not serving you. Group 3. If you haven't used it in a long time, it's likely not important, so let it go. For those items you're unsure about, a temporary holding box works wonders. Check back in a month if they haven't been used. It's time to say goodbye. Groups 1 and 2 are the essentials, but be honest with yourself about what you truly need. A helpful tip is to start with groups 3 and 4. They are usually the easiest to let go of, and clearing them first creates immediate space and motivation to continue. I've found that once you take this step, even small rooms feel lighter, and the process of organizing suddenly seems much less daunting. Decluttering isn't just about tidying up, it's about creating a sense of calm and control that makes your home genuinely enjoyable. After clearing out what's unnecessary, the next key idea is about visibility. Making your belongings easy to see and reach turns daily organization from a chore into a habit you actually enjoy. At first, I was hesitant. Wouldn't everything look messy if it's out in the open? But I quickly learned that when items are visible, they are much easier to use and, most importantly, easier to put back. It's a small habit that makes a huge difference in maintaining order. For example, I use open shelves for neatly folded clothes. Each item has its own space, so when I pull out a shirt or a sweater, it's effortless to return it once I'm done. In the kitchen, baskets without lids hold dish towels or frequently used utensils. I can grab what I need instantly, and when I finish, everything goes back without the extra steps of opening lids or drawers. It saves time and keeps routines smooth. Of course, open storage has its challenges. If you have too many things, it can look chaotic and cluttered. That's why I recommend keeping only what you truly need and love. Reducing the number of items in your baskets, shelves, or racks not only makes the space more functional, but also visually calming. The fewer items you have, the more your open storage looks intentional, tidy, and even decorative. Personally, I've found that open storage changes how I interact with my belongings. Because everything is easy to see and reach, I'm more likely to put things back immediately, rather than leaving them scattered around. It encourages a mindset of care and attention, turning daily tidying into a simple, satisfying routine. Once you get used to it, open storage doesn't just make your home cleaner, it makes it feel lighter, more organized, and welcoming. It's a small change that creates a big impact on your everyday life. Once you understand the benefits of visible storage, it's all about putting it into practice. Let me show you some open storage solutions that are both practical and beautiful. I was hesitant. Wouldn't everything look messy if it's out in the open? But I quickly learned that when items are visible, they are much easier to use, and most importantly, easier to put back. It's a small habit that makes a huge difference in maintaining order. For example, I use open shelves for neatly folded clothes. Each item has its own space, so when I pull out a shirt or a sweater, it's effortless to return it once I'm done. In the kitchen, baskets without lids hold dish towels or frequently used utensils. I can grab what I need instantly, and when I finish, everything goes back without the extra steps of opening lids or drawers. It saves time and keeps routines smooth. Of course, open storage has its challenges. If you have too many things, it can look chaotic and cluttered. That's why I recommend keeping only what you truly need and love. Reducing the number of items in your baskets, shelves, or racks not only makes the space more functional, but also visually calming. The fewer items you have, the more your open storage looks intentional, tidy, and even decorative. Personally, I've found that open storage changes how I interact with my belongings. Because everything is easy to see and reach, I'm more likely to put things back immediately rather than leaving them scattered around. It encourages a mindset of care and attention, turning daily tidying into a simple, satisfying routine. Once you get used to it, open storage doesn't just make your home cleaner, it makes it feel lighter, more organized, and welcoming. It's a small change that creates a big impact on your everyday life. And finally, while daytime organization is important, the way you end your day can make or break your morning. A simple nightly reset routine ensures your space and your mind stays calm, tidy, and ready for a fresh start. Before I go to bed, I take just 2 or 3 minutes to walk around and make sure every item is back where it belongs. My desk, the bathroom counter, the bedside table. It's such a small act, but it makes a big difference. Waking up to a tidy, peaceful space the next morning instantly lifts my mood. There's something so calming about starting the day without visual chaos. In the past, I used to leave things out, thinking I'll clean it tomorrow. But those little piles, clothes on the chair, cups on the desk, skincare bottles left open quickly add up. They don't just clutter your space, they clutter your mind. When I began setting aside just a few minutes before bed to reset my surroundings, I noticed I slept better and felt more refreshed in the morning. It's a gentle reminder that order outside often leads to peace inside. To make this nightly ritual more enjoyable, I like to play soft music while tidying up. A light, relaxing tune turns it into a mini self-care moment, rather than a chore. Sometimes I even light a candle, letting the warm scent remind me that I'm creating comfort for my future self. It's amazing how 2 or 3 minutes can transform both your environment and your mindset. So if your nights often end with clutter, try giving your things a homecoming. Let every object return to its place before you rest. You'll wake up feeling calm, focused, and ready to embrace a new day surrounded by a space that supports, not stresses you. And that's a wrap on the 9 habits and simple tips I use to keep my home organized. Cleaning no longer feels stressful or overwhelming. Thanks to these small practices, I save time and make household chores easy, quick, and even enjoyable. If you're looking to reduce the time spent tidying up and want a calmer, clearer mind, these tips can truly help transform your daily routine. Even a few mindful minutes each day can make a huge difference. For more inspiration, don't miss my next video where I share how I tackle hidden clutter and reorganize my space for simplicity and efficiency, a guide to uncovering what you didn't notice and arranging it in a way that makes life easier. This video is packed with practical strategies you'll definitely need, and it would be a real loss to skip it. If you found today's video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe, because everyone deserves a home that feels light and refreshing every single day. Share these tips with friends and family too, so anyone can enjoy a calmer, more organized living space and make daily tidying effortless.